Yeah, we out here, nigga. Yeah, nigga. People ask, what's out here? What's out here? Nigga, we out here, we chill. Stupid niggas. They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in the loop, ducking, moving like shit. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is tight. What you doing tonight? Just me and you, and the mood is right. It's a little spray, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green, yeah. Cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green, yeah. Cause we out, yeah.
Minute Made high, whip it up. Treat beef like cows in slaughterhouse. That's why we gripping up. Doing dirt on my own. Ain't no bitching up. Counting money talk election going on in my pocket. Stunting when I buy the ball. Change with Ted Dawson. He brushed me wrong. I have him slipping, grazing in the grass. She got an all you body easy slipping when I smash. She wanna feel the fire, Peebo Bryson. I tell her Jula pick up the pieces on his average white band. I see mixed brown dope, it ain't 10. Damn, what he talking about? Money and Muslim before they come and chalk him out. That's what my talk be about. You ain't feeling what I'm saying, ma. Get out the car and walk it out. You saving me gas, me money, and not wasting my fucking time. Can't you see I'm on my fucking grind? Pretending like they not, but they are. So tell them get off mine. They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in the loop, ducking, moving like shit. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is tight. What you doing tonight? Just me and you, and the mood is right. It's a little spray, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green, yeah. Cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green, yeah. Cause we out, yeah. We out, yeah. We ain't the vicious type, but we got plenty toys, nigga, like we sponsor Fisher Price. My bars and my voice get your sister hype, and I stay in the kitchen cutting raw like a kitchen knife. Make sure the raw pure and you dish it right. Fucking with the law, don't get caught by them flicking lights. I pray I make it every day and every freaking night. And they say that I used to do it wrong, I had to get it right. Stack the bread and that's pesos. Stack the bread just like Lego. I got the toast, so please bitch, just let go of my ego. Double up for 100 G, bleed money, that's paper. 30 long in my dungarees, increase my daily haters. And we out here, them downstairs, they come out clear. Diamonds shine like a Montclair.
You're right. Bren finished up the last one when he heard voices. Keep in mind he's far off the beaten path. He called out, and no one replied. It was getting dark, so he started to head back and found out that his ATV wouldn't start. He then noticed that the battery was not connected anymore. He reconnected it and started to drive, but it wasn't going fast at all. Less than half a mile later, the whole thing died. He radioed back basically saying, "Hey guys, I need someone to come pick me up." They told him yes, but it would take an hour. He asked if the other guy got back, and they said no. He settled down and started a small fire, but it didn't take long before he heard voices again. It's now dark, and the voices are creeping him out. It sounds like an argument, like someone was angry and yelling at someone else who sounded more scared. He called out and asked if anyone needed help. The voices didn't seem to care. He decides to walk towards the voices, but as he was getting closer, the voices seemed to be getting further and further away. After 20 minutes, he gave up and walked back. He got a radio call, and they said the other guy was found passed out covered in vomit and was being taken to the hospital. Then the radio died. Then the voices came back. Scared out of his mind, he decided to listen to what they were arguing about, picking up things like, "Well, it wasn't yours to take. I don't effing care, you knew better," and so on. His guess was two hunters arguing over a kill. Then he heard one shout something, then silence, then bang. A gunshot. He doused his fire and hid. After that he heard nothing, just his breathing for the next half hour until he saw ATV lights. He told the guy picking him up everything, and they called back. They had people looking for 3 hours and found nothing. They came back the next day with police and dogs. After about an hour, a shallow grave was found, and in it was a long dead man who had clearly been shot in the face. The creepy thing was that it was a skeleton who had been there for years. So either the argument he heard just ended with a bang and both parties went home, or he heard the murder of someone from years ago.
This is why you never joke around with the paranormal. Today we have a story that was sent in by one of my good friends, Kari. She is absolutely amazing. If you do not follow her, make sure to go check her out. Let's get into it. I have a handful of strange stories, but this one is always my go-to. It was the moment everything shifted for me. I've always been a spiritual person, fascinated by the supernatural and the paranormal. But up until this experience, nothing truly unexplainable had ever happened to me. This was around 2016 or 2017. My wife, then my girlfriend, had just moved in with me, and one night we got to talking about ghost stories and unexplained phenomena. I remember telling her I'd never experienced anything personally. She just looked at me and said, "You're lucky." Of course, I didn't leave it there. I told her I wanted something to happen. I wanted to know if any of it was real, ghosts, spirits, and the whole deal. My wife, who has had several paranormal experiences of her own, some of which I'll share another time, was not thrilled about my curiosity. She warned me not to invite anything in. At the time, we were living in a small one-bedroom apartment. That night, it was just the two of us, sitting in the living room, a cramped space that opened into the kitchen. From where we sat, we had a clear view of the fridge. On top of it sat a loaf of bread tucked toward the back right corner. It wasn't teetering on the edge or anything. Beside the fridge was our stove. As my wife was telling me one of her stories, I thought it would be funny, maybe even bold, to call out to the spirits. So I started saying things like, "I wish a ghost would try me. Come at me, ghost. Do something." My wife looked horrified. She kept trying to get me to stop. A part of me was genuinely scared, but the other part, maybe the bigger part, was still skeptical. I kept going, kept taunting. And then, suddenly the temperature in the room dropped. Felt the coldest breeze I have ever experienced in my life. Before either of us could react, we watched, eyes wide, as the loaf of bread flew off of the fridge. Not slid, not fell, flew. First it hit the stove, then hit the ground, like it had been yanked with force. I froze. My eyes snapped shut. Then I felt breathing right on the back of my neck. There was no one behind me. My wife was sitting across from me, and we were completely alone. Panicked, I ran straight to the bathroom, locked the door, and just broke down. I was crying, shaking, begging whatever I had provoked to forgive me. I was terrified. And let me be clear, I have never called out to a ghost again. That is freaking insane. That is so crazy. And hey, I mean, Kari, your wife tried to warn you. She did. So kudos to her, because people, I think, play around with this stuff thinking it's a joke or thinking that people that believe in the paranormal are crazy, but you never know. I mean, you might get lucky and nothing happens, but in instances like this is why you don't mess around, because stuff like this actually does happen. Thank you so much to Kari again for sending this in. My question for all of you is, have you ever experienced something like this where you were taunting and something crazy happened? And if you have a spooky story that you would like to send in, you can send it to my email here or send me a DM here on TikTok. Until next time, stay close to the light.
So check this crazy ass loophole I just went through. I nutted in the condom. Put water in the condom. Okay? Then you want to take it a step further, put the
focus for a little bit. If you like it, stick around. I want to give, though, before or as part of part one, I want to just give a tiny bit of backstory real quick. I feel like it's important just to kind of set the scene. And it just kind of, it adds to the story. So, and then I'm going to start with kind of like the small things, the red flags that were missed, the small things, and then how they progressed into the big things. The big things, like I said, I'm going to kind of do like story times with those for sure as well. But to start off, so until I was 11, we lived in the house I was born in. I have two older sisters and two parents, and we lived in that house. Everything was great. Nothing weird ever happened there, whatever. We moved out when I was 11, and we moved into a super, super tiny apartment, and it was above my grandparents. So for that reason, I loved it because I could run down and hang out with my grandparents, but it was too small for us. Now, at this time, my older sisters had both moved out, so they weren't in the house. So the apartment was just me and my parents, but it was definitely too small for the three of us. So once the lease was up, we needed to leave. Now, this was like 2006 or 7, 2000, I think 2007. Money was tight. The recession was about to pop up. So we needed something really fast. And lo and behold, we find this huge house that is dirt cheap to rent per month. First missed red flag. Why was it so cheap? Didn't really need any repairs. It was a nice house. I mean, it was weird. Now, here's the biggest thing about that house is it is a church parsonage. I'm going to make a video too. I want to show you guys pictures, and I also want to go down to the house itself. I live literally 4 minutes away from it, and I want to film so I can tell you guys stories and kind of show you, like, because one involves a window, something that we saw from outside. I want to show you guys that window so you can really see like what I'm talking about. But anyway, we go to look at the house, and first immediate red flag. The upstairs is much dirtier, like dustier and everything than the downstairs is. And my mom or dad mentioned something about it to the person that was showing us the house. And they were like, sorry, I got a weird back cramp. And they were like, oh, the guy who lived here before barricaded the stairs and never went upstairs. Now there's 2 bathrooms in the house, but there's only one with a shower, and that's upstairs. So the downstairs bathroom only has a toilet and a sink. So he went to the lengths to not go upstairs, that he would go other places to take a shower. Why we thought that was normal is beyond me. It makes perfect sense in hindsight, because most of the terrifying, awful things happened upstairs. So, I mean, I get it. I'm so curious what he saw to eventually get him to that point, but I could take a wild guess. So anyhow, first missed red flag. Other guy never went upstairs. Second red flag, my dad and I are walking up into the attic, and so you walk up, it's like 4 steps, and then like a little kind of cubby on the side. You can open up the door. A person would fit in there, but it's kind of small, whatever. I don't know why I said a person. That sounded creepy. But anyway, then you turn, you're on a little landing, and then you go further up the stairs. But in between the stairs here, there's like a slanted wall. So if you were coming down the stairs or up the stairs, you could jump onto this slanted wall. Why you would do that, though, I have no clue. But there were like shoe prints in the dirt, like sliding down this wall. Now, that could be explained, I suppose. Somebody could have been painting. That's about the only reason I can imagine you would be on that little wall, though. There's not another good reason. So that was bizarre. We get up into the attic, and there's 4 rooms in the attic. So there's one right in front of you, one right beside that, one down this hall, and one down this hall. Now, the one that would have been right to our left had a big window in it, and it looks out onto the street. The people that were showing us the house told us that nothing was left there, that they had checked it, nobody left belongings, nothing, absolutely nothing, 0 belongings. There was a rocking chair, like right in front of this window. Now, again, I guess that's not super weird, although it is weird to me because there's multiple windows in the house. Like, why are you looking out the attic one? But regardless, it also explainable. But the rocking chair was like weird. We kind of looked at each other like, okay. That's about it with the attic. We then go down to the basement. This is where I know for a fact, like, we both felt something and we didn't say it to each other. But I remember looking at my dad, and now my dad, here's some backstory. He was a preacher at the time. He is not scared of anything, really. He's like the toughest, bravest guy I know. And we walk down these basement stairs, and I will never be able to put into words the feeling that I felt walking down those stairs. It was like this heaviness that I could physically feel, my chest getting tighter, and like I can almost feel it as I'm describing it right now. And just like the air almost being sucked out of my lungs each step I went down. And we get to the bottom, and I kind of look at my dad, and I was like, it's kind of creepy down here. And he was like, mm-hmm. And when he doesn't say much, I know it's because something's going on in his head. There's like 7 rooms in this basement, and it is horrifying. The one room that has the washer and the dryer in it has clearly like at one time had bunk beds on the wall, almost the whole way to the ceiling, then to the floor. No mattresses or anything, but you could tell that's what it was. I have no clue who was sleeping down there or why. Then the other rooms, there was not much in them, but still, we had this horrible feeling. And then we go into the last room, and there's one of those bricks. When a building is built, or in this case, a house, and they'll put like one of those bricks or like stones in there that says the year. We see one of those, and it's in the wall, and says, I need to look it up. I think 1862, but I want to be sure, so I will look that up. So we see one of those, and then right under it is this hole in the floor. And we look, and
Yeah. Yeah, sauce. Yeah. Yeah. The boss. Yeah. Yeah. The boss. Woo. Woo. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Yeah. Sauce the boss. Talk that talk. Talk that talk. Yeah. Walking loud when I walk. Big play, big drip, no loss. Say my name right. Sauce the boss. Talk that boss. Talk that talk. Yeah. Walking loud when I walk. Big play, big drip, no loss. Say my name right, sauce the boss. Came from the back of the line. Now they all wait on my time. Phone blowing up, decline. If it ain't checked, never mind. Gold on my teeth when I grin. Still got a chip on my chin. Still got a chip on my shoulder. Stacking my wins, getting bolder. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The boss. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The boss. Woo. Yeah, woo. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sauce the boss. Slide in the spot, that's pressure. Whole team up, that's extra. Clock on my wrist, that's measure. Time that I spent, that's treasure. Mama say, boy, stay focused. I turn my pain into bonus. I turn my doubts into trophies. Now all these rumors, my promos. Yeah, 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 the boss. Yeah, yeah.
What it was, I have no clue who was sleeping down there or why. Then the other rooms, there was not much in them, but still, you know, we had this horrible feeling. And then we go into the last room, and there's one of those bricks. You know, when a building is built, or in this case, a house, and they'll put like one of those bricks or like stones in there that says the year. We see one of those, and it's in the wall, and says, I need to look it up. I think 1862, but I want to be sure, so I will look that up. So we see one of those, and then right under it is this hole in the floor. And we look, and we can see like water in it. So my dad grabs a stick. Conveniently, there's like a big stick in the corner of the room, and he's like putting it down through, and it's not ending. It's just never ending. And he pulls it back up, and there's just like dark water just kind of dripping. And we're just looking at each other, and I could tell he knew he needed to say something to comfort me, because I'm like, what the actual helly is going on? He was like, I'll have to look into that. So many red flags that were missed. But regardless, I loved all of the space. I'm becoming a teenager. I want to have friends over. I want my own space. You know, I need it. We needed something fast. My mom had a lot of doubts. My mom kept saying, I have a bad feeling about this. She was so valid and so right to have those feelings. And we really should have listened to her, but we did not. After a few weeks, we packed up. Now, here's the crazy thing too. I don't remember moving in there. I just remember, boom, we're there. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this off for now. Once I get to part 2, we will start with being in the house once we are moved in, the things that started to happen and kind of how they progressed. Who else, man? If anybody has any questions at all, feel free to ask me. I'm an open book. I do not care. I will answer pretty much anything.
Who else, man?
And again, thank you for being here. Man, I will probably put up part 2 tonight, tomorrow at the latest. All right, thank you. Bye.
Oh yeah, one more thing. If y'all see me on Love Island, mind your fucking business, bitch. I'm trying to find love, bitch. Y'all had y'all motherfucking chance.
There's no reason that I should have watched this movie at 10 years old, because not only is it just really disturbing, but it's also based on a real case called the Alphabet Murders. Between 1971 and 1973, 3 young girls would be kidnapped in broad daylight in Rochester, New York, just blocks away from their home. They would all be found dead days later, killed in a similar way. Some even fed before their death and redressed after. All 3 of their first and last names started with the same initial, and their bodies were all dumped in towns that started with the same letter. So we have Carmen Colon, who was found dead in Churchville, New York, Wanda Walkowicz, who was found dead in Webster, and Michelle Mainza, who was found in Macedon. Police believe that they were all killed by the same man, and because of their double initials, they became known as the Alphabet Murders. This case is so incredibly disturbing, and it is still unsolved, so let's talk about it. But before we get into the details, this is your trigger warning, because what you're about to hear is sickening. The story begins with Carmen Colon. Carmen was a 10-year-old little girl who lived with her grandparents in Rochester. She was known to be really quiet, but she was a very kind girl. She would often go into town to run some errands for her grandpa Felix. Most of the time, her grandpa would go with her, but on November 16th, 1971, Carmen begged her grandparents to let her go alone. She wanted to have some independence, and after much persistence, her grandparents said yes. So Carmen left that day day at around 4 p.m., and she made her way to a pharmacy only 2 blocks away. When she got there, the prescription still hadn't been filled, so she left the store to kill some time. One of the store employees recalled seeing Carmen get into a parked car close to the pharmacy. The last time Carmen was ever seen alive was about an hour later. Witnesses saw her running down Interstate 490 about 12 miles away from her home. She was nude from the waist down, and she was screaming and waving her arms to try and get someone's attention. Carmen was running away from a car that was now backing up to try and get her. The car was believed to be a dark-colored Ford Pinto hatchback. Another witness saw Carmen being forced back into the car by a man who quickly caught up to her. This was the very last time that she was ever seen alive, as she disappeared right after this. What's sad is that not one single person stopped to help her, which is crazy considering she was a literal child being chased like that down the highway. Everyone who came forward as a witness to this said that they were all just in too much of a hurry to get home. When Carmen failed to return home that night, she was reported missing to the Rochester police. Sadly, 2 days later, her body would be found. That day, a couple of teenage boys were riding their bikes in the town of Churchville, which is 35 miles southwest of Rochester. There, they stumbled across what they thought was a broken doll in a ditch on the side of the road. But upon looking closer, they found that it was actually the missing 10-year-old girl, Carmen. She was nude, and all of her clothes were scattered in a trail leading from where she was running down the highway to where she was found. An autopsy found that Carmen had been SA'd, and not only did she suffer from a fractured skull, but she'd also been strangled by hand, and her entire body was covered in scratch marks. After her body was found, police interviewed a ton of suspects, which included her uncle Miguel, but I'll get more into that later. But no one was ever charged with her murder, and soon her case would fall cold. Then, another kidnapping and murder would happen that would shock Rochester, leading to the realization that there is a killer on the loose, stalking and targeting young girls. 17 months after Carmen was abducted and murdered, another young girl would go missing, 11-year-old Wanda Walkowicz. Wanda was described as a tomboy who was also very shy but kind. She would usually help her mom with buying groceries, as her dad had died a few years prior. So on April 2nd, 1973, that's exactly what she did. At around 5 p.m., Wanda walked to the store by herself where she bought all of the groceries just like her mom had asked. She started to walk home on Conkey Avenue, where the owner of the store said that nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But within 15 minutes, and only a couple of blocks from home, she vanished. Her mom reported her missing at 8 p.m. that same night, and immediately police began a massive search. At this point, Carmen's case was still fresh in their minds, and they didn't want what happened to her to happen again. So they searched everywhere that Wanda could have possibly been, but they found nothing. Then witnesses started coming forward, painting a picture of Wanda's last movements. One witness said that about an hour after she left the store that day, they saw her struggling to carry her groceries, and in the background, several people saw a brown car circling around her. Then more people came forward and claimed to have seen Wanda standing alongside the passenger door of a large brown vehicle, talking to the driver, which they couldn't see for some reason. This wasn't even 1 mile from her home. Some said they saw Wanda hesitating at the car door. Another witness said that at around 5:30 p.m. on the day Wanda went missing, they saw a man forcing a little girl who resembled her into a light-colored Dodge Dart on Conkey Avenue, which lined up with where she was last known to be walking. But after this, it's like she vanished into thin air. That is until the next day. At around 10 the next morning, a state trooper found Wanda's body at the bottom of a hill. Just above it was a rest area off of State Route 104, and this was in Webster, New York, 15 miles from her home. Wanda was fully dressed, and an autopsy discovered that just like Carmen, she had been SA'd and strangled, except in Wanda's case, she'd been strangled with a belt, and on top of this, she had a lot of defensive wounds on her body. Authorities found that she had been redressed after her death, and male DNA and hair were found on her body. What stood out immediately to investigators, though, was that white cat fur was found on her clothes, which must have come from the killer because Wanda and her family did not have a cat, or any pet for that matter. Another clue was the position of her body, and according to investigators, it looked like she'd been thrown from a moving vehicle, and her body just so happened to roll down the hill. And even more chilling is the fact that authorities found traces of food in her stomach, indicating that the killer fed her right before she died. This caused mass panic because now you have two little girls, similar in age and how they were abducted and killed. And more so the panic came because both of their first and last names started with the same initial. And then they were found dead in a town that also shared that same initial. So while the city was demanding answers, police initially stated that the murders were not connected. At first, police thought that Carmen was killed by a separate person because she was found nude and had been strangled differently. But they soon changed their minds when 7 months later, yet another little girl would go missing under similar circumstances.
Yeah, we out here, nigga. People ask, what's out here? Nigga, we out here, we chill. Stupid niggas. say it's wrong, but we
2026
doing right.
just got.
We moving right, we in the loop, ducking, moving light. From noon to night, it's just the goons and the crew is tight. What you doing tonight? Just me and you when the mood is right. It's a loop is right, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out, yeah. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out, yeah.
Minute Maid high, whip it up. Treat beef like cows in slaughterhouse. That's why we gripping up. Doing dirt on my own. Ain't no bitching up. Counting money, money talk election going on in my pocket. Stunting when I buy the bar. Change with Ted Dawson. He brushed me wrong. I have him slipping, grazing in the grass. She got an all your body easy slipping when I smash. She wanna feel the fire, Peebo Bryson. I tell her June to pick up the pieces on his average white band. I see mixed brown dope, it ain't 10. Damn, what he talking about? Money a Muslim before they come and chalk him out. That's what my talk be about. You ain't feeling what I'm saying, ma. Get out the car and walk it out. You saving me gas, me money, and not wasting my fucking time. Can't you see I'm on my fucking grind? Pretending like they not, but they are. So tell them get off
They say it's wrong, but we doing right. We moving right, we in the loop.
Got even crazier, part 10. Well guys, this is the first of the month, and this February is going to be perfect, because just look at this calendar right here. If you don't understand, well, this month starts on a Sunday in a non-leap year, and the month's 28 days fit perfectly into 7-day rows. The last time we've seen this is in 2015, and we won't see it again until 2037, meaning this February has to be special. Next, you guys remember how Apple removed the buttons from their iPhones? Well, it looks like PlayStation saw that and was like, hey, what a great idea, because they just filed a patent for a controller that has no buttons at all. Instead, it would be a touchscreen surface and pressure sensing to simulate buttons. See, in the future, we really could be playing on controllers with no buttons at all. Finally, AI now has its own social network. Yeah, no joke, because this site has been going viral, and it's like a Reddit-style social media designed entirely for AI bots. It currently has over 30,000 AI bots talking with each other right now, and as of right now, the AI bots are literally just in there complaining about humans. You know, this is why I say please and thank you to ChatGPT.
Just imagine you're selling something on Facebook Market and then you're murdered just because the buyer isn't happy with their purchase. That's exactly what happened to 30-year-old Eliza Morales. Her and her husband listed a Ford truck on Facebook Market, and on that same day, a 19-year-old named Nidas Ravukas contacted them, met up with them, and he bought the truck. A few days later, Nidas and Eliza arranged a time to meet at her apartment so that she can give him the license plate and other documents for the car. Mind you, she was going to be home alone. It was 5:30 on a Monday when Nedas is seen on surveillance arriving to Eliza's apartment. She hands him a screwdriver, I'm assuming so that he can put on the license plate. And then a few minutes later, he's seen pushing Eliza into her apartment. And then the door is seen opening and closing, kind of like there's a struggle. Eventually, he managed to close the door and he stabbed Eliza 70 times to the neck and head. 10 minutes later, smoke is seen coming out of her apartment. This man set her place on fire. But not only that, this disgusting man also went after their dog and stabbed that poor baby in the eyes. The dog eventually escaped and was fine, but obviously Eliza did not survive, as well as her unborn baby. She was due in a couple months, and what's disturbing is that this man confessed to the murder, but he also explained that she basically begged him to stop because she was pregnant. He literally told investigators step by step of what happened and said that he was just angry that he bought this car and took his anger out on her. Absolutely fucking terrifying. So just a reminder, if you're selling anything online, always do it in a public
about
area.
you, and it's no one else like you. It's what they're getting. Positive vibes
Insane
only.
true stories that you won't
Shout out to
believe.
King Saul's
Back
balls
in
in the building.
2004, a man named Mitch, who was a senior in college, fell in love with a girl in his grade. After they graduated, they moved in together and began to work. And 2 years later, they got married. Not too long after, Mitch's wife became pregnant. But his job was going so well that his wife was able to stay at home and take care of their newborn baby. And a few years after that, his wife became pregnant again. Mitch absolutely adored his family. And with raising his kids and having a great job, he was living his best life. But one night while he was watching TV, he noticed something strange out of the corner of his eye. A red lamp in their family living room was blurry. Nothing else in the room was blurry to Mitch except for that lamp. He decided to shrug it off, but when he looked at it again, it was not only blurry, but it appeared to be upside down. He didn't tell his family because he didn't want to concern them. But after a few days, Mitch became obsessed over this lamp. He even skipped work just to stare at it all day long, and he eventually became unresponsive. Part 2's up now.
There were so many allegations made against Trump and many others in these new Epstein files, so the best way to go through them is person by person. Part 1, Donald Trump. Now, his name does come up a lot, to be more precise, over 1,000 times. In fact, the guy who just produced Melania Trump's new documentary, Brett Ratner, he was actually seen in the files as well, hugging a young girl next to Epstein. Now, just so you know, most of the Trump mentions in these files, there's no allegations of wrongdoing. They're more like things from news articles that Epstein was referencing in his emails to other people. However, there is one document in particular that has raised a lot of concern online. So last year, the FBI compiled a list of allegations that were made against Trump that they received in 2020 from a tip line that they set up, allowing anyone from the public to phone in and report a crime. And here we see a lot of disturbing allegations against Trump. One of the complaints details a woman who says that she was R-word, I can't say it on here, by Trump when she was just 13 years old. One of the complaints also alleged that Trump and Epstein held, quote, calendar girl parties at Mar-a-Lago, where Trump would auction off young girls and do horrific things to them. A different complaint alleges that Trump's golf course in California was the center of a trafficking ring between 95 and 96, and that some of the girls went missing and were allegedly buried at the facility. The files also include an FBI interview with one of Epstein's victims who stated that Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, once presented her to Trump at a party, and then apparently Ghislaine making it very clear to Trump that this girl was available, with Ghislaine allegedly telling the girl, "Oh, I think he likes you. Aren't you lucky? This is great." Now, there are a lot of tips that the FBI received, most of which are so graphic, I can't even repeat them on here. But here's the thing. In the documents themselves, the FBI say that none of these allegations can be substantiated, and that these claims had no supporting evidence to follow up on further. But ultimately, it's up to you guys to look at the facts and make your own minds up. But next, in part 2, we're talking about Bill Gates.
Here are some animal facts for you. Female octopuses will strangle and eat males who approach them when they're not in the mood. Octopuses also hold grudges and throw shells at others they don't like. There was a giant study that revealed that cats in the United States are friendlier than cats in Japan because in the United States we have a favorable view of cats and they spend more time with strangers and their owners. There was also a smaller study in Turkey that showed that cats will meow louder at men, but it does suggest that cats like to match the vocal tone of people around them. Air Bud was actually portrayed by a real dog named Buddy. Honeybees actually will cuddle in a giant group hug to stay warm during the winter. While humans only have 3 major blood groups, horses actually have 8, which means they can have thousands of different unique blood types. Ginkgo tooth-beak whales had never been seen in person alive until a team in Mexico finally found 2 last year. Ducks, more often than not, will sleep with one eye open. Same.
Back on. Who else, man? Sauce, the boss, man. Of course, Sauce.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only.
Get demon possessed.
Shout out to King Saul's boss in the building.
Through what they watch on television. People get demon possessed or demon influenced through the music they listen to. People get influenced by demons because of the company they keep. People get influenced by demons because of the kind of books or materials they read. But you can be set free from demon influence or possession. Simply read your Bible, follow Jesus, and pray every day. If you want Jesus to influence you, tap Jesus in the comments and subscribe for more to learn about Jesus.
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you, part 10. Okay, so Hello Kitty was created back in the 1970s by a Chinese woman whose daughter had cancer. The doctors told the mother there was nothing she could do, and her daughter will die. The mother then went to every church and prayed for her daughter, but none of it worked. The mother then became very desperate and turned to devil worshipping and satanic rituals. She then made a pact with the devil himself. But if the devil cured her daughter's cancer, he wanted one thing in return. He wanted her to create a cartoon character to appeal to children all over the world and to trick people into worshiping the devil. And when her daughter recovered from cancer, she kept her promise and created Hello Kitty. Hello Kitty has no mouth because her daughter had mouth cancer. Her pointy ears represent the devil's horns. The word kitty means demon in Chinese, so Hello Kitty actually means hello demon.
Breaking news, we have another insane story about President Trump coming out of the Epstein files that potentially has to do with murder. So, an FBI agent reported that he spoke to a woman codenamed Caller, and that Caller and her friend, Victim 1, went out one night and they ended up at Trump Plaza. And apparently, Victim 1 really wanted to meet the infamous Donald Trump. Caller then says that an unknown man approached her friend and said, "I can introduce you to Trump," and then got her a drink. After taking the drink, Victim 1 woke up naked and sore with $300 on the bed. Victim 1 didn't remember how she got to the room. She says she remembers seeing a flash of Trump's face. Then Victim 1 called her friend the Caller and told her she thought she had been raped. And then this is the craziest thing. Victim 1 was never seen again. Years later, her remains were found, and this was in the agent report. Victim identified is deceased. So somehow these Epstein drops are just getting darker and darker because that was not the only accusation of missing girls or murder. We just reported on a part of the files where a girl says she witnessed a sex trafficking ring at a Trump golf course in Los Angeles. She goes on to say that girls participating in orgies were rumored to have gone missing or were buried at the facility. She says she was even threatened by Trump's head of security, who said that if she ever talked about what happened or who she saw, she would end up as, quote,
my life, son.
Sauce the boss. It's his birthday. Everybody wish him happy birthday.
Oh, this is big right here, y'all. Everybody wish Sauce, the official boss, happy birthday, man. Let's go. Let's see it in the timeline. I like to wish Sauce.
You know, it's a beautiful day. If you feeling down, just
I like to wish
get you a bag of that.
Sauce the boss a happy birthday. I like to give a big shout out to Ashley Gordon. That's somebody said Ashley Gordon. Charlie Fields.
Killer Vision, PSER, Rent Hospital. Let me on this track.
I like how that sounds.
Conscience,
I like to give a big happy birthday to
Denzel, Chris Pine,
Sauce the boss.
Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Therefore, I'm flying off the tracks.
I like to give a big shout out to Billy Chapo,
the
official capo.
They fear what they don't understand.
Shout out to Sauce the boss, man. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm dancing in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with a polo sweater. How bad do you want success? I was holding my breath unconsciously. The conscious me woke up and came up for air. I turned 136 to the boom, but ain't dancing with child. I guaranteed them in the dreams. Fire miss, Mr. Clean. Dirty talk, come shots, list the ring.